But what she told me next is the reason I still think about that day. Because the damage on that door? It wasn't from weather. It wasn't from age. It was from the last time her ex tried to force his way inside while her little girl was standing right there. And suddenly, this wasn't just a repair job anymore. It was the first time I saw fear hiding behind someone pretending to be strong. I didn't know it yet. But that question she asked me, would you ever date a single mom? Wasn't about dating. It was about whether someone like her still deserved to be chosen. And what I said next changed both of our lives. I thought I was just there to fix a broken door. Old building. Faded paint. Weak hinges. One more cheap repair job in a part of town people only move to when they're running out of options. I knocked twice. The door opened halfway, like she didn't trust it, or me. She stood there in sweatpants and a loose t-shirt, hair tied up in a messy bun. Not trying to impress anyone. Just trying to survive the day. Behind her, I heard a little girl laughing at a cartoon. "You're the maintenance guy?" she asked. "Yeah. Door frame issue?" She nodded and stepped aside. That's when I noticed the damage. The wood around the lock was cracked. Splintered. Like it had been forced open before. "This didn't happen by accident," I said quietly. She crossed her arms. "No. It didn't." There was something in her voice, not fear. Exhaustion. I started working. Removed the old screws. Reinforced the weak wood. Installed a stronger strike plate. She stood nearby at first, watching. Like she needed to make sure I wasn't going to disappear halfway through the job like everyone else. Her daughter peeked around the corner. Big brown eyes. Missing 2 front teeth. "Are you fixing the monster door?" she asked. I smiled. "Yeah. Monsters won't get in anymore." She nodded seriously and ran back to the couch. That's when her mom finally spoke again. "It wasn't a monster," she said softly. "It was her father." I paused. Didn't ask questions. Didn't need to. By the time I finished reinforcing the frame, the door felt solid. Safe. Something that should have been safe from the beginning. I wiped my hands and said, "You won't have to worry about it breaking again." She stared at the door for a long second. Then she asked the question that caught me off guard. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." She hesitated. "Would you ever date a single mom?" I laughed lightly, thinking she was joking. She wasn't smiling. It wasn't flirting. It was vulnerability. I leaned back against the wall. "Why are you asking?" She shrugged, but her eyes gave her away. "Because every time a man finds out I have a kid, something changes. Their tone. Their interest. Their effort." She swallowed. "Like I come with extra baggage." The room felt smaller suddenly. Her daughter's laughter echoed from the TV. "That little girl," she said quietly, "is the best thing that ever happened to me. But somehow she makes me invisible." Silence sat between us. Heavy. Real. I thought about it. About how easy it is for men to say they want love, but only the convenient version of it. "No," I said finally. Her shoulders dropped slightly. "No," she repeated. "No. I wouldn't date a single mom." I saw it. The wall go back up. The disappointment. Then I finished my sentence. "I date a strong woman who chose to stay and protect her child instead of walking away." She blinked. I stepped closer. "I date someone who knows what responsibility means. Someone who doesn't run." Her eyes softened. "And the kid?" she asked carefully. "I'd make sure the monster never touches that door again." For the first time, she smiled. Not polite. Not guarded. Real. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe it was the way her hand shook slightly when she reached for her wallet. Maybe it was the way her daughter looked at her like she hung the moon. But before leaving, I wrote my number on the back of the invoice. Not for repairs, I said. For coffee. She looked at the paper like it weighed 1,000 pounds. You know this isn't simple, right? She asked. I know. My life is loud. Complicated. Messy. I've worked construction for 10 years, I said. I know how to handle broken things. She gave me a look. I'm not broken. I know, I replied softly. You're rebuilding. A week passed. No call. I told myself that was fine. She had enough on her plate. Then one evening, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hi. It's the monster door lady. I smiled so wide my face hurt. Our first coffee wasn't romantic. It was honest. She told me about court dates. About restraining orders. About sleepless nights. I told her about growing up without a father. About learning how to fix things because no one fixed anything for us. Her daughter colored at the table beside us. Every time she laughed, we both looked at her at the same time. That's when I realized something. This wasn't about dating a single mom. This was about stepping into a life already in motion. No blank slate. No easy beginning. But something real. Weeks turned into months. I fixed more than doors. Leaky faucets. Flickering lights. A loose cabinet hinge. But slowly, something else started getting repaired. Trust. She stopped flinching at loud knocks. Her daughter started calling me door hero. One night, after putting her little girl to bed, she sat beside me on the couch. You know what scares me, she whispered. What? That you'll wake up one day and realize this is too much. I looked around. Crayon drawings on the fridge. Tiny shoes by the door. A home held together by courage. I've had easy before, I said. It was empty. She rested her head on my shoulder. 6 months later, the same door I fixed got tested again. Not by her ex. By life. A storm hit the city hard. Power outages. Broken windows across the building. But her door held. Solid. Unmovable. Just like her. She stood there after the storm passed, touching the lock gently. You didn't just fix the wood, she said. You fixed the fear. I shook my head. No. You did. I just added stronger screws. One night, her daughter crawled into my lap and asked, Are you staying forever? Kids don't ask small questions. They go straight to the heart. I looked at her mom. She was watching me carefully. Afraid of the answer. I'm not going anywhere, I said. And I meant it. A year later, I wasn't fixing her door. I was carrying groceries inside. The frame was still strong. But the name on the mailbox had changed. It now held all three of ours. Sometimes love doesn't start with fireworks. Sometimes it starts with a broken lock. And a question asked in fear. Would you ever date a single mom? No. I'd do something braver. I'd choose one. Every single day.